Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. So for any of you that don't know who I am, who haven't been watching my podcast, my name's Jo Douglas. I'm a transformational women's wellness coach, and I focus in on perimenopause symptoms. I help ladies get through this stage of life and flourish rather than struggle. So Jo's Chats is about talking to real women about real problems and how they've overcome them and how they've changed it around and how they help other women do the same thing. So without further ado, I'm going to bring the lovely Angie into my studio. Angie is a wellness coach in my support group. Hi, Angie. Thank you
for joining us. Thank you for having me.
I'm really happy to have you here. And I'd love for you to, if you don't mind, share yours. Excuse me. Don't know what's going on with my voice today. Share your story so the ladies that are watching can hear and see that, you know, if they can relate to your story, they can see that there is a way out. So without further ado, introduce yourself and let us know what you do.
Brilliant. Yeah. So I'm Angie Mays and I'm a mindset coach, and I work with exhausted women, mums particularly. And so basically, I kind of started my exhaustion journey from a really young age. I started working at 13 years old, worked for the same employer for 16 years. And the employer was very much like work is life. He didn't have a life outside of work. Him and his wife, you know, they got up, they cleaned, they did the business, and then they went to bed. That was it. So it was very much drummed into me that, you know, your life was work. You know, hard work was how you got by, how you survived, and from a really young age, yeah. So I started working for him at 13. I was working, you know, just here and there at the first year or so. And then it became, you know, holidays, you work all the holidays. And, you know, as I became a member of the family, really. And, you know, so he kind of made me feel a bit guilty. He'd phone me up while I was at school and say, can you come to work? We're so busy. And I hated school at the time. I absolutely hated it. And I was like,
it was a way out of school for
you. I was like, yeah, of course I can. I mean,
I think there's a difference between a good work ethic and, you know, working yourself to the bone, isn't there?
Oh, yeah, completely. So I'd go down and I'd get paid to be at school basically and not be at school. So yeah, it was just a really unhealthy place to work, really. So as it come on, I started working 6 days a week. It would be double shifts. It wouldn't be just coming, you know, at 5 till 10. It would be like 11 to 10 in the morning till 10, 11 at night.
What were you doing and how much were you getting paid, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I was a waitress, but then they trained me up to do the fryers, and then, like, you know, I could go in on the takeaway counter. So there was different positions in there, but I could do them all. You know, I'd go in if I was really tired and I just couldn't be bothered with people, I'd go in the kitchen and do that. If the kitchen, you know, so I could do everything in the whole place, really. You know, you could be on the tea counter. There was loads of different aspects of it, but he just trained me up to do everything basically because he knew he could rely on me. And you know what staff are always like, they're not so reliable, are they? So yeah, so it was very much like, you know, it was very controlling, to be honest. I remember once I had tonsillitis. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I just knew I was ill, and I asked if I could go home, and it was like, no, you can't go home, it's too busy. And I just had no energy. I normally worked through everything, but I knew I just couldn't do it. My body wasn't letting me. So I was like sneaking on the telephone at work, and I was crying on the phone to Mum, Mum, you need to come and get me. It was that sort of thing. So she had to come down and get me. And I was such an independent teenager. I never like needed my mum or anything. I just, you know, and I just got on and did everything. So for me to do that, it was really bad. And I didn't get out of bed for 3 days. But, you know, things like that happened all the time with me, but I kind of just passed through it and I didn't see them as warning signs. But the more that, you know, being 13 and then to 29 years old, working those hours is a lot.
You don't know until you know, do you?
No, and we got quite a lot back then. I can't remember what much it was, but I'm sure I remember getting like £10 an hour. So we were loaded as well. I mean, I wish I had that money now. So it was, it was such an incentive to work there because you knew you just got paid. But all my friends were sort of like working in the same place, and we was all exhausted, and we had no life really, because if we finished at 10 o'clock at night or started at 10 o'clock in the morning or 11, either way, you've got nothing to do, have you? So we'd end up just working all day on, say, a Saturday, and then going out on Saturday night with our wages, and we get paid on that day. So say we got £60, we go out and we buy loads of shots in the bar, and we wake up in the morning with no money again. You know, and we drunk
that's what teenagers do, isn't it? It's like
it is, yeah, but if you're doing that 6 days a week, you can't sustain it, can you? And it was very early on as well. I was drinking from when I was probably 12, I think. Anyway, so working there just gave me the money to do it more. And I guess I just didn't realize how much it was taking a control of my life, because I thought that was normal, just work your whole life and, you know, you'll then get somewhere. So yeah, it kind of just completely changed my mindset. I just thought that was the way people lived, and that's what I had to do. So
sorry. What were your parents doing? Were they like really hard workers as well? So you had that.
Yeah, my mum was a hard worker. We grew up, me and my sister, just with my mum. So she was like working hard. And, you know, as a child, I remember going to hotels with my mum. My mum would be cleaning in this one hotel. They'd have like this big chest of clothes and a ballroom. So everyone would be gone home. She'd be cleaning the rooms, and we'd be hanging around in the ballroom playing dress up and putting the lights on and stuff. So we did that regularly.
So you saw that at an early age then?
Yeah,
like
really
work.
Yeah, my mum trying to look after 2 kids on her own, trying to work, you know, and survive really. And it wasn't just that hotel. There was a few places that I can name she took us that she worked over the years. There was like a nursing home, and they had one of those chairs at the bottom of the stairs that you press the button and it takes you all the way around. So me and my sister used to play on that. And then there was another hotel with a swimming pool that we used to go to. So it's like a pattern, you know, like all the way through. I've seen my mum work really hard, try and survive, pay the bills, you know, keep a roof over our heads. And it's not easy if you're a single mum, is it? So, yeah,
it was a norm for you.
It was something that I'd always seen that I thought was normal, really. So being exhausted, I thought was life. Yeah, but it wasn't until I had my daughter a little bit later on that he was still wanting me to work these hours. And I was, you know, my daughter was coming inside the cafe in the restaurant with her dad, and then she'd like coming to visit me, and then she'd be all daddy-fied. And it was quite upsetting actually, because I was thinking, you know, she's not as close to me because she's not spending as much time with me. So I kind of tried to break away a few times, but it was very controlling and very manipulative. And it'd always be like, you know, I signed up for an admin course once, and he'd say to me, "Oh, I'll go and buy you a load of clothes shopping if you don't go to your course today," because he didn't want me to move on in life. He wanted me to stay stuck there. So there was several times.
How old were you?
With the admin course, probably in my early 20s, or, you know, about 18 or something. But there was always different steps where he tried to get me away, like, you know, not let me live my life and further my life and stuff, because he wanted me to run his restaurant, because he knew he could trust me. I was reliable, and, you know, he needed me. But him needing me meant that I was losing myself bit by bit. And he knew I wasn't always happy, because he'd send the girls, like, he'd give the girls £10, and back then it's a lot of money, to get a whole big bag of chocolate to try and keep me happy.
Really?
So I'd be at work just really miserable. And I think, like, growing up as well, it's quite hard, because I think, like, my friends just used to think, "Oh, she's spoiled, she's miserable," like. And, you know, it really, you know, I lost myself really. And I didn't know at the time that I was depressed and anxious. I was just trying to keep afloat all the time. And when you look back and you think, oh wow, like that is just so not normal, but you're kind of just doing what you're told to do. And he was kind of like a father figure to me, and he did just literally just, you know, abuse that fact and try and control me all the time. And there was a lot of shouting down there, and you know, it wasn't a healthy environment most of the time, and it was something that I just have to put up with, or you know,
what was his wife like?
Oh, she was even worse.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was evil, absolutely evil. I didn't speak to her most of the time. But yeah, it's just, you know, a massive thing about people pleasing, just doing as I was told, just, you know, okay, yes, I'll come to work, okay. And even if you had a day off, like at 7 days and they're really short stuff, you just feel guilty. And it was crazy, really, because like, I'd continuously buy myself brand new cars on finance, but I had no time to drive them. So when if I had one day off, I was too tired to drive it, and also I was too anxious because I passed my test, but never had like the driving ability to be able to drive all the time. So being exhausted and overworked had an effect on everything on my life, like literally just friendships, how I felt. Like even having a childhood, I grew up way too quick. Just everything, like the relationships you have with people, because you're exhausted all the time and you're snappy, and you know you haven't got the energy to put up with things. It's insane, really, because I was just this very confused child, not really understanding what was happening to me.
And that teenage stage with all your hormones as well, you know, going through puberty would have, you know, really affected you as well, the way everything was.
Just up and down all the time, just trying to, you know, manage. I think I was just running away from my emotions, really. I never really talked about them. I suppressed them all, which was causing more depression and anxiety. And I didn't really have anyone to talk to about them apart from him. And he would just use it against me, if you know what I mean. Like, oh, you can't hang around with those people. And
Manipulating you, wasn't he?
it was completely manipulating and controlling. And, you know, it was crazy when you think back at it now, because all I was trying to do was just survive, really, and just get through the day and say, all right, tomorrow's the same, you know, it's going to be a good day. But it was just emotionally and physically draining, like to the point that, you know, you'd be aching all over. And I just don't, I feel like I was completely lost, like as an adult now, when I've done all this healing and stuff, and I look back and I just feel like I don't even know who that person was, because I didn't even know who I was at the time. And it's like looking back on something that didn't happen now, because you can't believe that you was that person in that situation. And it kind of went through all my life. I burnt out at every job I went to, every job, and just worked so much. I'd work 2 or 3 jobs at most of the time. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't just one job. I'm in a very seasonal town, so you can't just get one good job. So it would be like, I'll be at the jeweller's on a Saturday. I was going to nursery. I was working in a nursery, leaving my daughter when she was young at 7 in the morning, getting back at 7 at night 2 nights. And then he convinced me to go back there, because I tried to get away at one point. And so then I had 3 jobs. So every time I tried to sort of like do a course or sort myself out, I would just be like manipulated and blackmailed to go back. And yeah, so it was hard. I did a lot of courses. I tried to do a lot of online courses in all different areas, and I was always searching for something, but I couldn't quite pinpoint how to get it or how to stop what was going on. So I just did the same thing, basically. Got another job, did overtime. Every time I was asked to work, I'd say yes, because it'd be like, oh, we're short-staffed. So even though I was exhausted and I had nothing to give, I'd still be saying yes to them, because I'd be feeling.
Where was your daughter's dad at this point? Were you together, or what was he like?
We were together. It was difficult because he worked, at one point he worked early shifts, so it was like 6 till 2, and then he worked late some weeks. So that was an even bigger challenge because I was trying to get her in looked after different ways. And you know what nurseries are like. You've got to have them in at this time till this time. And if you don't need them into this time, you've still got to pay that. So I was getting her, she was going with her dad's mum a couple of days, but then she was in nursery. And then you've got the whole thing where they're hanging on your leg, screaming, they don't want you to go. And she was like that quite a lot, actually. She was like that when she went to school. Yeah, there's so many times I really relate with mums that struggle to get to work because the kids don't want you to leave, and you're trying to make the best life for them. But what is the best life? Is it working yourself into the ground, or? So yeah, there was very much.
You were a young mum as well, weren't you? How old were you?
Well, she's 17, I'm 43 now, so
let's do the math.
That's why I've left it to you.
23.
Yeah.
23.
Do you know what though? One of the reasons why I wanted to have her actually was because I wanted to be at home. I was like, I want a family. I want to be at home with my child. This will solve everything. But it didn't. It just it just fell back into the same patterns really, and just thinking, oh, I've got no money now. I've got a child, a family.
Yeah, well, you had the added stress, really, didn't you, of looking after another human being? So
yeah,
it would have made it worse rather than better.
Yeah, but I thought I'd get a bit more leeway then with work and stuff. I'd literally had her, I reckon it was, because it was the 15th of July, so it was bang on nearly the 6 weeks holiday, with, of course, in catering industry, busiest time. So he phoned me, I think it was 3 days later after having her, and he's like, when you're coming back to work, we're so busy. And I'm like, and I felt guilty. And I'm in pain from childbirth, and I'm thinking, like, what can I do? And I did go back about 2 weeks later, actually.
Really?
I got her godmother to come and look after her. I only went back. See, this is me, like, trying to explain it to myself. But I went back, like, and worked 12 till 3 because I only lived around the corner, and I just got them through the lunchtime. And I think at the time, that was me telling myself, right, that's okay, because I'm doing that to help. But in hindsight now, I'm like, oh, it's just me trying to make myself feel better, wasn't it? By, that excuse. Yeah, but it didn't end now.
Children of their own?
What, the owners?
Yeah.
Yeah, they had 6 kids, but they all made them work from an early age. They'd be scrubbing floors and stuff from.
So they were in the restaurant as well?
Well, no, they were all grown up by this point. But I mean, they made them work from, I'd probably say from about 6 years old, probably. Wow. They used to be scrubbing the restaurant floor because they always had restaurants somewhere. So they very much made people, that it was that old generation sort of thing, really. I guess back then people did do those sort of things, didn't they?
Are they still going now?
Oh, no, they've died now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I was like that in all my jobs, though. I literally just exhausted, and my mental health just suffered like so much. I'd have breakdowns. In one company, I ended up going to the CEO of the whole company that everyone was scared of, like proper suited and booted company. And I'd have to go to him. I was sat behind my desk and I just wanted to cry. And I kept phoning people on the phones and putting a happy face, and I just couldn't do it anymore. Just burst into tears. And I went down to the office and said, I can't do it anymore. I just can't. Like literally, there was times where I'd hurt my foot and I'd be hobbling to work, and they would say, oh, if you had any time off, you'd be made to feel bad. So I was hobbling up a load of stuff.
At this point, you still didn't realise that you were on burnout.
No, I was continuously trying to people please in companies and not understanding my own needs, basically, and thinking that my job was everything. I mean, of course, now I'm like, and my mental health and my health come first. And if I did do something to my foot and I couldn't get to work, I wouldn't be going. But I'd always kind of adopted those jobs that seemed to think it was okay to go in poorly, go in even though you've got to walk up a massive flight of stairs with a bad foot and things like that. And like now looking back, you know, it's all the employers that I worked for never had that, you know, support.
I like to hope things have changed in most workplaces now where, you know, you've got rights but even if they did have rights and none of your bosses told you about them, there was no, you know, support system at work, then you wouldn't know, would you? You wouldn't know that, you know, you've got rights at that age, you know, working, going through. If there's no older person there to like say, look, Angie, you need some time to look after you. You know, so most workplaces, I like to think have that now.
Well, yeah.
That's a difference. But even if they do, they still need the right people, don't they, to be running them and have some empathy. It's all about empathy. And because if you're working in that state, you're not going to be working at your best of your ability, are you? You know, until you're a well person. So it's counterintuitive. I
think it is a thin line between managers and bosses caring about your health, though. They might have like a counsellor or sort of like that you can use the services, but I think deep down a lot of people it's just about the money, which is really sad, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. There's a fine balance, isn't there, between okay, we need to get all this work done and let's look after our staff.
Yeah.
I mean, I see it now where, you know, with menopause, you know, your burnout happened at a young age, just working hard. But I see it now whereas women that are really successful in their job and then the hormones start fluctuating, perimenopause, and they can't focus at work and they feel burnout and tired. So a similar kind of scenario, but later on in life, you know, and some people are lucky enough to have a system in place to listen to them and help them and support them, but there's still lots of work situations that don't have that, which is what I want to change, you know, and you do as well. So sorry, go on, carry on. On
I think a burnout, if you say an early age, I would say the last time I burnt out was last year.
Wow.
And that's when I kept like I fell down the stairs and injured my coccyx when I was really tired, and it kind of did change a little bit for me because I was at home for 6 weeks and I was really down and depressed then, and it kind of like forced me to stop. So it did open my eyes a lot, and I had a psychic reading and she said to me, oh, it's because you wouldn't listen, you wouldn't rest. And I said, no way, there's other ways of telling me. And she was like, no, seriously, you wouldn't listen, you wouldn't rest. So that opened my eyes a little bit, but I did the same. I've done the same through every job, and then kind of ignored the anxiety until the anxiety's got too bad and then I can't cope with it and I've had to listen. So I did that another time in a job where I was in a place where they were just, you know, the owner would come in and you'd be so busy. It was that time where, do you remember when they were doing that after COVID, they were doing those meals through the government for really cheap or for free. We were doing that, and sometimes the boss would just come in and just be like, oh, why isn't the bin changed? Why isn't this? And she'd just come in and shout, and it just kept going like you're working your ass off, you're exhausted, you've got nothing left, and then you just feel like you're not valued. And it kept going on like that, and it was weeks and weeks and weeks, you know, it was going on for months. And then I was just ignoring the anxiety and I was just going to work, and then I just lost myself again. And then I ended up not wanting to go home. I was too anxious to even go home. I said to my friend, will you meet me for a drink, which was obviously the worst thing to do. But I couldn't. I went home and I was in my living room and I was just like stomping around, and I was just, it had just gone way too far. And my anxiety was just through the roof, and I just wasn't choosing myself through any of it. And then I ended up getting my friend to come and meet me for a drink. And she only stayed for a little bit and she went, and I stayed out on my own, which is something I would never do. I just didn't want to go home. And then I ended up getting so drunk that I twisted my ankle on the curb, and then I was off work for weeks anyway. And I never went back to that job. But it's like I had to be, it was like someone was constantly shaking me, telling me, come on, need to listen, and I just wasn't listening. So yeah, I decided
where did it change?
I think I decided after that I wasn't going to work somewhere that I wasn't happy anymore. So there was like little shifts that went on, but they weren't big enough. But last year, and also all the way through this, I had toxic relationships, you know, physical, mental, narcissists, and all the way through that, because I wasn't choosing myself and I was allowing everything to happen to me. So last year I had 2 jobs, and I was literally, I finally found someone that was a nice guy. He didn't lie, he didn't cheat, he put me first, which I'd never had in my whole life. Like literally, if I'd spoke to him on the phone and said I had a problem, he would say, right, I'm getting the trainers on, this is his little thing, and he would literally run to my house and be there in 5 minutes. Do you know what I mean? He would be there from the moment I'd said it, and I'd never really had that before. And we were so aligned. Like I'd phone him and say, oh, you need to do this. He'd say, I've just done it. And like we'd think the same thing. Or he'd message me and say, should we go to the cinema tonight? And I say, I've just looked at the cinema and booked it. Like we were so aligned.
Oh.
And he was so kind and caring and supportive, and never always considered me before him. That when I was working last year, I had 2 jobs and I was burning out again. That when I was coming out of work, I was just snapping it in straight away. I was coming home to my daughter, and it was none of their faults. It was just that I had nothing to give. I was coming home and I'd just get straight in bed, and then I struggled to sleep because my legs were hurting so much, my back was hurting so much. When I finally got to sleep, you know, I was just crying because I couldn't contain the pain. When I finally got to sleep, I would wake up in the middle of the night in pain and not being able to get back to sleep. So then it got to the point that I was crying like on my way to work. I just completely lost myself. My spark of God, I can be such a positive person. So to have to be that person that's got through depression, anxiety, has got through all this stuff and be positive when you're down and you've lost your spark, it's such a difference. It's like someone's died constantly, someone's dying constantly, and I just wasn't myself anymore. And I was at work and I was holding back the tears again, and I'd be like, oh hi, come in, and I'd be like, and everyone would just think everything was all right because I was just the most happiest talkative person. And then again I just burst into tears at work, and my friend was like, what's the matter? She was like, why didn't you tell me? I was like, because I can't. So she ended up sending me home. And then I thought, right, I can't do this. So I applied for a job at a dentist, but it was full time. And I went for the interview and I got the job. This is the end of last year. And I thought, I can't do full time. I'm absolutely whacked out. So that caused me a lot of anxiety, thinking, well, I'll finally have a job that was full time. I could rely on, you know, support my family. I wouldn't have all this 2-3 jobs. So in the end, I ended up turning it down, which was really bad. You know, I didn't like that either. And I just had time off work. I literally still, because I was leaving, I told my 2 jobs I was leaving, and I still left them 2 weeks later, and I just did nothing for a bit. I had massages, you know, I literally repaired my body first. So that's when I decided it was time to go back, you know, do my coaching full time, because I just couldn't do it anymore. I was going to lose the one person that actually was there for me in my whole life. You know, I'd had such up and down partners, like, you know, and a lot of them, and I'd always blamed myself. But, you know, looking back, I didn't give myself that love and validation and had no self-love. So I accepted all these things happening. So to me, it was kind of like a big wake-up call, because I'm treating this one person like shit that's actually there for me and doing the best for me, and I'm going to lose them. And I've waited my whole life for something like that. You know, when we were younger, we used to get taxis to the nearest town and, you know, go out on looking for guys every weekend, like it was something that I needed in my life because I was so lost. So it was something that I always wanted, a loving partner, but I could never find. Even when I did find them, it was terrible. And yeah, so it was like, wow, what am I doing? Like, I think it was more of what I was doing to them rather than what I was doing to myself that made me realize.
You were you were still thinking about other people at that point, weren't you?
Yeah.
Which was good, because you didn't want to lose your relationship, but that just shows how your mind was working, because you were still thinking about them before you.
Yeah. Well, I knew I couldn't go on anymore. I was saying yes to my boss again, that I would do overtime and do more work, and then I was in physical pain and mental pain and everything, and I was still saying yes. So it kind of was like the final wake up call, really, because my health would. I think what scared me the most was because obviously I've done a lot of healing all the way through. It might not seem like it, but I'd actually did CBT and changed my mindset, and I'd actually able to manage my mental health after 25 years. And I no longer really see myself as having mental health, whereas before I would lie there and I'd be like, oh, I'm not normal, crying, want to, run away in a field and just sit there, close the curtains, lock myself away. So having that feeling and now feeling like I didn't have it, that was something that scared me, because I knew what I was doing in that job was allowing my anxiety to come back and my depression to come back. So that frightened me the most, because I thought.
So the work that you'd done allowed you to recognize it now.
Yeah, I was unraveling it again.
Yeah, so it was still happening, but you knew this time it was happening, whereas last time you didn't know it was happening.
I mean, I was getting more reflective, but I think I'd just gone back down the rabbit hole, really. Oh, I need the money for this. But it's catch-22. I still had that mindset of needing money and work hard, even though I'd done mindset shifts with my depression and anxiety, and knowing that, the way I think and feel and act is impacting me. I still had the money mindset, work hard, get something.
It was an embedded belief, wasn't it, from a very early age? Like you said, your mum working so hard. So to make that shift of that money mindset, it would be limiting beliefs. It's changing the belief system, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. And I 100% now think that health's more important. I guess you've got to go through it and lose yourself to realize. It's the same if you broke a leg. You're not going to go to the doctor unless you broke your leg. If you've just hurt it, you're not going to bother. So it's like when you do have that massive impact, then you're like, wow. But I think I'm probably had too many lessons.
Yeah. Well, how did you know about CBT? Who did the doctor refer you?
Yeah, I did it with the doctor. I went in my early 20s. And they were like, it was to do with my driving, actually, that I did it. I had really bad anxiety. And if I was a passenger in the car, I'd just be crying by the time I got somewhere and things. And down here, we have these like little country lanes. And if my ex-husband used to drive down them, I'd be shaking, screaming by the time we got to his mum's house, and I'd be a right mess. So I think back then, when they were trying to tell me that do CBT, if you think positive and all this, that you'll be able to drive, I didn't get it. Like I was like, oh.
If someone says to you and you have no idea about how these things work, if someone said to you, oh, if you think positive, you'll be able to sit on a country lane and sit as a passenger, you were like, how is a positive thinking going to help me not feel in danger of crashing? It's just like, you can't get it, can you?
It didn't sit well. I mean, obviously I had therapy and all that sort of stuff as well, and something must have worked along the line, but I didn't pinpoint it on the CBT. I didn't understand it. So I think you do need to understand it to actually have it work. But when I did revisit it, it completely made sense then, because being depressed, I was feeding it. I know now if I get a negative thought, it's funny because if I think, I'll get one negative thought about something, you're a bit low in energy. My partner would be like, oh, here she comes, she's spiraling. And we laugh about it now because I understand it. But before, you don't realize that you're just feeding your negativity and making it worse, and you're attracting more, and you're like, you don't realize you're making it worse for yourself. It's like a massive wake-up call when you understand how you think, feel, and act.
Does your partner see it before you see it? Or do you feel it and then he says it and then you like...
both really. I mean, since meeting him, he's changed his whole life with being with me, and all his friends take the mickey out of him now and say, "Oh, just because you've met a life coach in your 40s, now your life's all sorted." But you know, just watching how he is now, he coaches his friends, and he's like quite a reflective person, but his whole life's changed as well now. So it's just seeing the ripple effect on other people is funny, really, like, because you know, I mean, 99% of the time I can see it in myself, but there is times where you can't, and they're like, and I'm like, okay, and I just laugh because I know it is happening, but you do
what
slip.
do you do when you recognize it? What's the first thing you do after you go, yeah, okay, and have a laugh?
I change it. If I say something negative, so it might be like I've tried a dress on and I'm like, oh, I look fat. And then I'm like, oh, miserable. Oh, I can't wear dresses. And it will just, you know, be like this slide of negativity. But then I'll laugh and I'll change it to two positives, because I have to know that actually, you know, there was a time that I did obviously of lacking, you know, self-love, depression and anxiety. I hated my body, but I don't wear makeup now. And it's, my daughter always used to say to me, why do you wear makeup? And I always wear, like, I've got no makeup on, and I rarely ever wear it because I love myself now. So I have to change that. I have to say two positives. And then I do laugh at myself because I know it's not true. I think, where is the evidence? Is this negative?
What would you say to yourself then, after looking at yourself in the mirror and going, oh, I look fat in that, and then walking away and going, no, hold on a minute. What would you say to change?
I'm quite honest, to be honest. I do think I look better in trousers and a top. So I'm like, look, that dress just makes you look a little bit fat. You have, you know, I'll be realistic. You have got a little bit of a tummy, but you look nice in this and you look nice in that, and that's okay. And that's just accepting it. I'm not trying to pull the wool over my eyes and start believing that, you know, I haven't got a tummy. But the thing is, it doesn't bother me if I've got the right clothes on. So I think it's more to do with what I put on and what looks right for me. So, but I do go by the thing, and I say this to all my clients, because I have a part-time job that I do mindset work with my clients as well. And I do say to them, is it true? Where is the evidence? Because to me, the story that our mind's telling us isn't real, and we do need to challenge that, because once we start challenging it, we notice it a lot more. And then I laugh to myself because I think what I've just said to myself is not even true. Why did I say that? And it makes me laugh half the time.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah. So where are you taking anything for anxiety and depression, or are you totally?
No. This is another thing. This is another wake-up call I had, really, is I was on and off of it for, you know, years, absolute years on and off of it. And then I went up to the highest dose that I could on the one I was on, which was 60 milligrams. And then I still wasn't in a good place in the end, you know, like as time went on. So this is another reason why I looked for alternative ways of managing it, because I knew what I was doing wasn't working, you know, and there was nowhere else to go with that because I was on the highest dose. So when I did come off that was just, amazing, you know, and I've never looked back, really, because I know that I work better with my mind, whereas before I was believing everything it was telling me, you know, that was happening. So it's massive shifts that I've been through, really massive.
And lifestyle changes you've changed as well. I notice on your socials you're getting outside and you're running and you're healthy, which, you know, as a coach myself, I can get on my back.
I'm not as healthy as you, Jo.
every little change helps, you know, keeping your diet healthy.
I mean, I think a big part of that is just working with myself. I'm also dyslexic, and I never really looked into it. You as well, and I didn't.
Family are my husband, my kids.
Wow.
But it's a power tool once you know how to overcome it.
I didn't know how complex it was. I just thought it was like something to do with reading and writing. And when I've looked into it, and it's all to do with organisation and things like that, I'm like, wow.
If you looked at my desk right now, you'd be like, oh my God, classic case.
Yeah. But yeah, like you said, learning about that has helped me manage myself better. So I know if I'm on the computer for an hour, my head starts to get a bit fuzzy. So I'm a bit overwhelmed, and I always see it like the too many computer tabs open. And then that's how I see my brain. I know I can't multitask anymore. I have to focus on one thing. And if I do get that buzz in, literally just going outside for 5 minutes, it's just weird that it just completely goes. I'm still baffled by it. And I don't think
take your shoes off, take your shoes and socks off and stand on the grass barefoot really helps as well.
Yeah.
It's like crazy, isn't it? When I say that to my clients, they go, what? Don't be ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then they do it and they're like, oh my God, it's so helpful.
There's silly things, isn't there? But I think once you learn to work with yourself, like I always recommend my clients don't go on their phone in the morning. And I did it the other day and I was in a right mood, no lie. I was snapping at my partner and everything, and I was in a mood at work for the first like 2 hours. And I was like, wow, I can't believe I preach this to all my clients. And I'd only done it once, but the difference in that one day, I was like, wow.
Yeah. It's these routines, you know, and it's if you don't know, you don't know, do you?
No, you don't. And people say, oh no, I'm fine. But then when they try not to do it and they don't do it, they realize how different their mood is, because they see this hustle, multitasking. Oh yeah, my friend was getting up, going on the toilet and doing her emails. And I'm like, you think that you're saving yourself time, but you're just draining your energy. So all these invisible draining things they were doing, they're not aware of. So basically I'm just making them aware what it's doing. And it when you're exhausted as well, you're just, you know, plodding on. You're not even thinking about what you're doing, are you?
No, it's true. And the same with sleep as well, because I have ladies who say to me, oh, I've only ever had 5 hours sleep and I'm fine, I can survive on it, I don't need more than that. I'm like, well, let's just try this and this. And they make the small changes, and then the sleep starts getting better. And not only the 5 hours gets longer, but the 5 hours gets better as well. So yeah, more solid sleep. They're like, oh my God, it's changed my life, just making those small changes.
Yeah.
Where they've gone all their life saying, no, I'm fine, I function fine, because they didn't know what fine felt like. It was their fine. They didn't realize that they can feel better just by making those changes. And it's when you see it happen in front of your eyes, it's just amazing.
And it's like you say, it's small changes. People think, like, especially if they're exhausted, they think, oh, I haven't got the energy to do anything else. But it isn't actually doing something else. It's actually just doing what you're doing better. Because when I'm
not doing something,
I'd come home and I'd kick off and I'd be snappy and I'd just be like a moody teenager, because I had to clean the house as well as go to work. And I used to have the mindset that I could never do everything I was doing, but I can do everything I was doing now, but I do it better because my mindset's different. I'm not just like, oh, I've got to do this. So just changing your mindset about stuff stops draining energy. So you don't even have to make big changes. It's just about seeing, you know, life is a gift really, and changing how you approach things. You know, we've all got things to do, but if we moan about everything we've got to do, they're going to be more draining.
Yeah, one of my clients said to me the other day, she's like, every time I come home from work, there's always a pile of dishes next to the sink. The dishwasher's right there. Why don't the kids just put the dishes in the dishwasher? She's got 2 teenagers. And I said, I hear you. I get it as well in my house. And what do I say? I look at the dishes and I look at the kids and I go, do you think they're going to walk to the dishwasher on their own? And they go, no, grump, grump, grump. Yeah. And I go, come on, let's get them in the dishwasher, open it up, put it in, shut it. Job done, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Rather than moaning and groaning and shouting at the kids. And that's just going to make my life more miserable, not theirs. They're not going to do it. They're still going to leave it on the side.
Well, if you're able to manage your emotions and your workload better, you're able to go to the kids and say, come on, let's do this. But if you don't and you're exhausted, you're like a psycho. And then you're the one that has the mum guilt afterwards because you haven't done it properly. So we have to take the responsibility that we're the role models. We have to deal with ourselves, and I've been there many a times. That's why I'm laughing my head off, because I know when I've done that I haven't been in a good place, and that's not fair on anybody, is it? So
yeah. And it just ruins the rest of your evening.
yeah.
Not going to ruin theirs. They still don't give a shit about the dishes being on the side.
I think
Your whole evening then is like ruined. You sit down, relax, try and relax, and all you think about is how angry you are. So
yeah, basically, and they think, oh, mum's a psycho.
Yeah,
mum's run away to their room, and you're just sat with it, and then you come down off the anger, and you feel guilty then, and you're like, oops, why did I do that? That's just really crazy.
And then it affects your sleep, and then you've got that downward spiral.
Yeah. So. But I think as a mum, though, you want to do everything for them. You want them to have the best life, but you kind of sometimes make a rod for your own back. Oh, I'll pick their dirty washing up and get their plates out. I'll just tidy their room, and then it goes on and on and on. And actually, we've got to set the boundaries as well. Like, we've got to be honest with ourselves. What are we doing that's not quite helping towards the situation?
What I started doing with my boys is I just closed the door. The oldest one's moved out now, but with Joel, I just go, okay, that's your mess.
Yeah.
I don't even look at it. If everything goes moldy and smelly and you've got no clean washing, then it's not my problem. I can't see it. It's your crap. You know, and then eventually he's wallowing in his own crap and he sorts it out.
Yeah.
So I know it's hard to do for some women, but, you know, for me, that's the only way it's going to get done, and it's not going to affect me.
I think the old clear mind, you know, clear house, clear mind is what makes you feel like just relax, though, isn't it? As a woman, if everything's chaotic, I do feel chaotic.
I close the door, so I can't see it. What I did yesterday, Angie, I got a big next bag. I had a big plastic bag in my carrier bags. And because Joel's left school now, I went into his wardrobe and I took out all his school shirts and all his blazers and all his trousers, his ties, anything that he's not going to wear anymore. And I put it in that next bag and I took it to the secondhand shop. They've got like a school uniform part. And it took me less than half an hour to do that. When I came back, I was like, oh, that felt really good. It's like all that clutter's gone. It's just simple things like that makes you, like you say, it clears your mind, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It makes you feel better rather than going through everything, just that one little thing. And if you do things like that, that also helps you get through. And
but I mean, you have to be in a good place yourself in the first place to be able to do that, though, don't you?
That's very true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are you now, Angie? Tell us a bit about what you're doing now and how you help people.
So I've been working with exhausted women, but I've sort of narrowed it down to mums, really, because I feel that, you know, we're the ones that are carrying a little bit extra, aren't we? But to be honest, I have women that come to me and say, oh, I'm not a mum. And I'm like, well, if you're exhausted, you're going to work, you're trying to do the housework. It's all the same, isn't it? It's just, you know, those invisible things like getting tea ready, doing the shopping and all the, you know, if you're on your lunch break and you're trying to phone up and sort out suppliers, or, you know, everything is just draining, isn't it? And I think people don't realize how much those things are draining. So I work with all women, really. I don't work with men very often, but I have done. But yeah, so it's about when they feel like they're, you know, they know that what they're doing isn't serving them anymore. You know, they are exhausted. I do have, you know, people that sort of are like, oh yeah, it'll get better, and, you know, and they just think they're going to magically wake up and it's going to be better. So I work with the women that know that they need to change. They know that they've perhaps lost their spark and they're not their self anymore. And, you know, it's scary because, you know, you're just doing the motions. You're like in Groundhog Day. So it's about getting them back to themselves, and it all starts with awareness, really. And I've been doing some You First resets, which are just one session, because I felt like, you know, getting someone to sign up to a whole 12-week course when they don't really know.
That'd be overwhelming, and it's so
yeah, exactly. Oh, I've got 12 hours, 12 weeks. So I've been focusing on them lately, which I think have been really helping. Like it's about shifting the mindset and the energy as well, and helping them recognize what they're doing that's draining their energy. So I've been concentrating on them a little bit lately, which has been really nice, because I feel like in that hour that they are actually having the shifts and seeing where the problems are. So yeah, they've been loads of fun actually. I'm really enjoying that, because it's like an instant change, and I try and support them and message them afterwards and say, have you been doing, changing this small habit? So yeah, they've been fun.
Accountability.
Yeah, accountability. And yeah, it's just like opening your eyes really to see what's happening. And I'm able to do that because I'm not emotionally involved in what's going on in your life. And yeah, I'm just honest. And I think, people feel a little bit lighter after the sessions and can see a little bit more clearly. And yeah, I've been having great fun with that really. So that's what I've been doing.
Lovely. Well, what I'm going to do, Angie, I'll share your link under this podcast. So anyone that needs your help, they know how to get in contact with you.
Lovely.
And I'm just thinking, when you're saying helping ladies like that, throwing perimenopause into the mix makes things worse. Are they the age group of ladies that you work with?
Yeah, midlife women basically. Yeah, but yeah, I do think it's because they're saying yes to everything but themselves. Basically, it's the You First method is basically just realigning you back to yourself.
I love that.
What you need.
Title, You First. I love
it. It has changed my whole life. I mean,
you're a walking example, aren't you?
Yeah, I can't.
When your clients see that, it's going to give them hope.
To know that you've gone from being like depressed and anxious and suppressing all your feelings to being able to not control it but actually live happy, it's something I never thought I would be able to do. And I just think everybody should know that actually life doesn't have to be the way it is. You can be happy. It's just the things that you're doing at the moment aren't serving you, and that it's like shining a light on them really to know, come on, you can do this. And I'm just so passionate about it because it's changed my whole life, and from relationships to jobs to how I am with people, how I am with myself, that I actually see myself as first now. And I don't feel guilty for it, because I know that my happiness impacts everybody in the household, it impacts everyone at my job, it impacts everyone around me. So it's just a total different way of seeing, basically. And our perspective is how we live our world. Like me and you could come off this call and I'd be like, oh, I was really bored and it was rubbish. You could be like, oh, I love that. But it doesn't mean either of us are right. It's it's how you see the world. So
that'll affect the rest of your day, how you thought about it.
So it's about changing those perspectives down to the core, really. And I had lacked a lot of self-worth and looked for validation and all these things, don't feel good enough. So it's about building them up from within. I always say everybody goes to the gym because they think it's going to make them look better and then they're going to feel better. But if you don't do the work on your mind, you're just going to go to the same place. And I've got people around me at the moment that are like, oh yeah, I'm really happy today, and then they go back down, and then they're up, down, up, down, up, down, like a yo-yo. And my ex-husband used to call me a yo-yo because I was, and I just see the patterns in everybody else. So it's about not having that yo-yo effect, up, down, and it's about seeing obstacles as opportunities and having more of a, the other day someone smashed into my car and my daughter was so angry, and she was angry at me because I wasn't angry and I was laughing, and I was like, I'm not going to get upset about it. It's done. There's nothing I can change. But if you can live a life like that you don't let things knock you down all the time, then life is just so much more happier.
Yeah, I love it. I love what you do, Angie, and I'm really happy that you're part of my life now as well, and that you're you're one of my coaches in my group. So I'm really happy about that. And my book, yes, I forgot about that. I know. got so much going on. It's like, yes, you're going to be writing a chapter in my book too. So once it's out, we'll share that link, and all of your ladies and all of my ladies can read that and read more about what you've just talked about as well. So yes, great future ahead, and you're going to make a big difference to lots of people. So thank you for spending 55 minutes with me on your Saturday morning, Angie, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Jo.
Bye for now.